Okay, I'm going to assume you have some data. I've opened mine up here. And you have a variable that you want to do some text analysis on. In my case, I want to do this feeling variable here. I'm going to expand it out so that we can see the whole response in every case. We can see there are some short ones, there are some long ones, and then we can start doing some text analysis. So we go to the text menu. The first thing we have to do is to extract the corpus. So I get this window, I choose my data set, I only have one here, and then I choose the variable that I want to analyze, which in my case is feeling. And then there's a default name. I'm just going to leave it and say save. And now we can see that it's shown up here in the console. Now what we can do is just go to View Frequency Data and create a word cloud. And this is going to show us all of the terms. It's making the word cloud. I'm going to make it really big so that we can look at it more easily. You can see there are a lot of words that don't mean very much. Is, to, about, go. And so we want to remove those words that don't have a lot of meaning. There's a way to do this. So I'm just going to go back up to the text menu, and I'm going to choose Preprocess Corpus. Now this window comes up. I choose the corpus that I want, and I've only got one. And then there are a bunch of defaults that are checked. So the first one is to lowercase. That's going to change all the variables, all the words in the variables so that they have lowercase. It's going to remove punctuation. We can see there are some responses here that have some punctuation in them, and if we remove it, then the words will be on their own instead of having periods or commas or exclamation points. It also removes the numbers in case there are numbers in the responses, and then it removes stop words, and it says their default list. You can actually look at the default list if you want to see what words it's going to remove. And what you do is you just click on this arrow and you say print stop words. You see these show up in the console, and you can scroll through and look at them. So it's things like got, off, on, of, that sort of thing. Just words that don't have very much meaning. So now I'm just going to leave the checkboxes the way they are. I'm not going to remove white space, and I'm not going to do the stem words, because that's a little more complicated. Then you have to save the corpus, and again it has a default name, but in this case I'm actually going to change the name. I'm going to change it to good corpus, because I think that'll be easier for me to remember. And I'm going to say OK. You can see that the deducer is doing some work, and now we have something called good corpus in our console. Now we can start doing some more analysis of the data now that we've pre-processed the corpus. So I'm going to start with just viewing the corpus. And now I have two different corpuses. Right now I'm choosing feeling.corpus, and you can see that when you view the corpus, you just see exactly the same thing as in the variable viewer on your data viewer. So it says productive, or curious about Pharrell Williams, who is wearing the boots. It's just exactly the same. But if we change the corpus and we look at good corpus, you can see that all of the words have been changed. Productive is now lowercase, or here the words that don't have as much meaning have been removed. So it just says curious Pharrell Williams wearing boots. And you can look through and see what all of the responses have been converted to. Then the next thing we can do is we can go to View Frequency Data. We can just look at the frequency totals list. And here we're going to change to the good corpus, and I'm just going to leave the rest of the defaults the same. And you can see that some stuff shows up in the console, like curious. You can see Curious is listed 8 times, sad occurred 6 times, and then there are a bunch of words that just appeared 1 time. But I'm looking at the top 100. Okay, but then I can also, from the same menu, do a bar chart. Again, I'm going to change to the good corpus, and I'm going to leave the rest of the defaults the same and just say view. I'm going to pull this a little bit bigger so that we can look at it. But you can see the same information. Curious is showing up 8 times, we've got sad 6 times, and then at the end we've got a bunch of words that just appeared 1 time. And then of course the other thing we can do, just like we did with the first corpus, is we can create a word cloud. So I'm going to use the good corpus, and I'm going to say view. I'm going to leave all the defaults the same. And then I can also pull this one really big so we can look at it. You can see that the words that don't have as much meaning have been removed, and now we see curious is the largest word, then we've got sad, indifferent, hungry, neutral, and it's a lot more information is being shown here. The great thing about this dialog box is that you can actually change from one thing to another right here. So you can use the drop down, you could change to frequency totals list, or you could change to bar chart, whatever you want to do right here. So here I made the bar chart again, and you can see it's got a lot of stuff on here, so maybe we want to change the defaults a little. So we could change from top 100 to top maybe 10%, okay? And we'll view that, and I'll pull this nice and big. You can see that now we've only got the most commonly occurring things. We've got a couple of the words that only occurred 2 times, and then all of the more common ones. But the other thing we can do is we can use this frequency filtering. So maybe we want the things that occurred more than or equal to 2 times. Oops, that didn't quite work, so let's close that. We need to change it to top 100 and the ones that are greater than or equal to 2 there. So now you can see this is all of the common things, and then the ones that just occurred 2 times, none of the things that occurred 1 time. And then the final thing that I want to show you is this thing called View Term Document Matrix, and it just shows up like this. Right now we're looking at the feeling corpus, and it's just showing us how often different words occur. And you can see the most common one is nothing, that occurred 11 times, and these are those meaningless words that we removed. So I'm just going to change my corpus to good corpus. That's the pre-processed one. And I'll pull it out so that we can see it again. Now we can see curious is the most common one. It occurred 8 times, and this is showing us where they occurred. So in entry number 4, you can see there's curious. It occurred 1 time in entry number 5. It's also in there. We can scroll over entry number 21. Where is that? It also says curious. And then entry number 49, let's scroll down, that says curious. So it's just showing you which entries these words occurred in and how many times they occurred. And here we just have ones in every spot, I think, but you could have, if you'd put curious twice in one entry, like curious, curious, it would say 2 instead of 1.